Hey everyone, welcome to another Mastermind Advisor podcast. I'm here with Josh Woodward, and today we're going to talk about the marketing that is working right now. And there are two things that work for us for sure. I know, like the seminars and the webinars, there's a lot that's going on in the background too, like all of our drip sequences or retargeting. But if I were to start all over, if I didn't have a bunch of emails or if I didn't have a bunch of people on my drip email list or my retargeting list, I would probably start with seminars or the webinars. Now there's two different things there that you have to be good at. One, you either have to be good at closing virtually, or two, you got to be good at closing in person. Now, Josh, you and I both know that we hear this all the time. You put me in front of somebody, I'll close them.
Yep. That's all it takes. Just get me in front of someone and they'll become a client. 100%
Sure. So we'll focus on that today. We'll focus on how we get you in front of people, not on so much about whether or not you can actually close. So we have a lot of advisors that I know that we work with, and a lot that I'm working with personally that I'm helping close. And I was thinking about today, I was like, holy cow, I've done a lot of annuity production for these advisors that I'm not getting paid on, technically.
Right.
So I'm like, maybe I should just start doing it again for myself.
That's funny. You get that question a lot, don't you? I feel like every advisor that comes in and wants to work with us, they're like, Vince, it works so good. Why don't you just do it yourself? I feel like you're starting to think like, man, maybe I should.
Well, the whole idea was to, have more or less, passive income where I could teach other advisors on how to do this rather than me do it myself. That was kind of the idea. And it's working. But I didn't know how many advisors really can't, they can't feed themselves. And that's the tough part sometimes. But I think for the most part, you can't feed yourself if you don't get in front of people. Right. And that's the first problem that most advisors have. So with marketing that's working right now, it's seminars and webinars still. Now 100%. People still do smart asset. They still do other lead generation. There's been a major difference. There's another one called Black Box that's been around. Like I actually signed up for it just to get the information and to see what it's like. But the problem is I've actually helped some advisors that were getting some of the appointments from it, and then I would hop on the appointment with them. The problem with those appointments is that they only watched a quick little on-demand webinar. They booked an appointment, and they're really just there like kicking tires, trying to figure out what product you're trying to pitch them. And maybe that's for you, maybe it's not, but it's definitely not for me. Like it's hard because most of the time they show up, they don't have their camera on. They have to show up to even, help them in the first place. So that style just isn't for me. Smart asset, same thing, just isn't for me. It's a lot of chasing. You got to be the first one to call them. So that kind of style just isn't for me. Now, will you get a lot of appointments on your calendar? Will you get a lot of leads? Yeah, you'll get a crap ton, but it's a lot of time wasted. So I'm going to focus on the things that I like, just because I know, that's what helps us. And we'll do, we're at 34 million this year so far. We should hit 36 million. So
that's awesome.
As a firm, we're doing basically what I said we would do at the beginning of the year. 36 million. Now, there have been months where I'm like, holy crap, what the heck is going on? And then all of a sudden, you get those big pops, right?
Yeah.
And so to remind advisors, marketing is not something that just is a flash in the pan. You don't just go do a seminar or go do a webinar and tomorrow someone sign up for an annuity or using your services for assets under management.
Yeah,
there is a time frame, right? It can take time, and you might just have a bad week. You might have a bad month.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to that point, it's like I heard this the other day and it was, there's more than one way to get to 10, right? And so it's, we have our ways, how we like to get to 10. Other advisors have their ways to get to 10. And sometimes it just makes sometimes sense to go, 5+5 or 9+1, or, the point being, there's a lot of marketing out there. We just found out that webinars and seminars are the thing that work best for us with the correct setup, with the right system. Um, and even to like right now, I know you're still running seminars, educational classes in December. And so, I've had a lot of people ask like, well, do you stop in December? Do you stop marketing? Do you just coast through the month? Right. And so,
No.
right. Exactly.
With that being said, I mean, it's not the best month though. Like you're not going to get as many appointments. You're going to have a lot more cancellations. So a lot of people would say, well, is it even worth the money? Well, I like to have the pipeline full.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Going to the new year with people and appointments scheduled, whether they are there or not. But I mean, you're still, I think in most parts, usually net positive or even net even, right? With continuing the pipeline to grow. And when you have the mindset like that, where it's, hey, I need this one seminar, and if it doesn't work, I'm done. Like I'm not going to work with you ever again, right? Or, man, I've had 2 weeks of webinars, and I've only gotten a couple appointments. I'm done. If you can't have that mindset in the system that we have. Not saying, because overall, if we look at year over year, right? Are you net positive? Are you making money? Is the business growing?
Well, there's something to be said with that because we preach the appointment, gaining appointments, but I should pull back a little bit because we should preach more on, what's the quality like and are you actually meeting with them versus how many appointments do you have on your calendar? Well, that number doesn't really matter. You could have a bunch of crap people on your calendar.
Yeah.
How many leads do you have? Well, that number doesn't really matter.
Right.
And I look through our system. I mean, in our national campaign, I'm going to throw a number. I don't know. You're going to have to come up with this number because I don't know it off the top of my head. In the NRAs, in our National Retirement Academy, like the national campaign that we do, how many people are in that funnel?
What's your guess?
50,000. I don't know.
No, it's a little,
25.
it's a little bit more double than that.
What?
Yeah, we have about 100,000 in that list, with the growth and the funnels and all that are kicking. Yep.
So you have 100,000 people. All right. So I know you talked to me the other day. You're like, I have 75 people registered in the national campaign, and you're like, can I open it up on your calendar because I got a bunch? Yeah. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure. Let's. I've been helping out the other advisors a little bit, probably too much. Yeah, let's get back into it. And so the difference there, though, is we have the capability of retargeting people with our emails and getting them to re-sign up, which that's all you're doing. You're not even running ads right now.
Yeah, this is actually huge, and a great thing to bring up. This is on point to everything we preach. So we've ran ads on a national scale for advisors for a while to build up this list, right? And the way our system works, we collect leads at a low cost, right? And then we nurture them to get to the webinar, and then we nurture them to set the appointment. And we are to a point now in the national campaign where I don't even run ads. We're not spending any money in our national campaign system. And I think this week alone, you have 80 people registered for your webinar.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet.
Yeah. And that's so like, if we get on that point and start thinking of longevity with advisors, I mean, there's advisors that are with us been, 5, 6, 8, 10 months that have not the list that we have, but maybe they have 8 to 9,000, contacts in there, and they're getting double, if not triple the registrations and not spending any more money on ads, or not increasing their ad spend, right? Because of the funnel and the drips and the pipeline we've built. And so that's a great point on if we think long-term and longevity of the marketing, there's a proven time when you don't have to spend money on ads. You can just retarget and reengage.
So probably that brings up another point. I mean, we're kind of going all over the board here.
We are.
But when it comes to marketing, like I'm a big, I pitch that you don't need to spend a lot of money on ads, and technically you don't, if you look at it correctly. But most advisors just want results right now. They want to see, they want to have like 30 appointments on their calendar, which you can't have 30 appointments to make money on. I found out the max you can have is 20 first appointments, because then you're going to have seconds and thirds. If you have too many appointments, you start blocking off your calendar. So I figured out like the good amount of ad spend for me for the webinars is about 2,500. Now there are other people I talk to that are spending $10,000-$15,000 a month on ad spend, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm getting a bunch of appointments." I'm like, "Cool, but like, how do you have the time?" And it's mostly because the reason they have time is because those people aren't all showing up. So it's not, that's pretty easy. So I'm like, well, geez, if we spent 10, 15 grand in our thing, holy cow, like how many appointments would we generate from that? Now, when you say 80 registrants, we have to keep in mind those 80 registrants aren't the typical 80 registrants. They're not like random people that signed up
Correct.
from an ad.
Correct.
Those are 80 people that have been dripped on for a long period of time. And those are the people that usually act once they go watch the webinar, and they actually are doing something after you meet with them as well. So those are really, really good leads. Technically, if they've been dripped on for a long period of time, they've been going through the funnel or the process, and then watch the webinar, book an appointment. Those are going to be good quality. I know that. So yeah, put those on my calendar, please.
Of course.
I'll take those.
Yeah, it's crazy on that. And I forget to mention it a lot to a lot of advisors of like, we are to the spot now where we have a proven concept of there's a spot where we don't have to spend ads to get people to attend, to get people to set appointments. And not saying we won't ever have to again, right? Eventually you're gonna have to get new blood flowing and all this stuff. But as of right now, there's an ungodly amount of interest, and people are registering more so than ever right now with that drip system. And that's just because of the long-term thinking, right? I mean, when we first started it with these advisors and running the national scale, I mean, and most like other advisors, right? You have 5, 10 registrations, goes to 20, and then 30% show rate and all that stuff. But it is if you can focus on a long-term mindset, and I'm not even saying like 5 years or 2 years, right? I mean, that campaign was what, maybe running for a year and a half of focus. So let's just compound that and think 2 years down the road or 3 years down the road. Like if you don't plan on retiring.
To be honest, it was only a year, because I remember talking about it last September, doing where we were doing like the national campaign, and we just said, all right, if you want appointments, we'll run the ad campaign for you, and then we'll just book appointments on your calendar. And we were just doing like pay for lead or pay for appointment. I mean, I don't prefer that, because I'd rather the advisor get all that data and have all those emails.
Yeah. You're thinking like an advisor, right? Like, what would you want?
Yeah.
And I think that might be, I don't know, people still pay for smart asset leads, right? But
all right, sorry, Josh, I lost you. We're on the internet connection here. But you're talking about the appointments that people were getting on their calendar. It's a little bit different. It's when we talk to webinars, we're getting plenty of appointments. I'd say the biggest drawback to the webinar side is people sometimes just don't know how to close, or they go for the jugular, they go for the annuity only, or they try to sell a product. I think they just shoot themselves in the foot sometimes. But that's at least what I've been learning a little bit more, that they're kind of maybe showing their hand too much, trying to do too much safe money. And people are, especially in a market that's kind of growing a little bit right now, they don't want to like put it all in safety and that kind of thing. So I think sometimes, with the annuity advisors that we work with, they kind of shoot themselves in the foot sometimes. And I've been helping out with that, and it seems to be working. But also on the seminar side of things, I mean, we started working with an FMO that just started like funneling us all their people that used to do seminars with their internal program. And then all of a sudden we're doing it for them, and they like ours better because we're doing everything. And what they were doing, they were still doing educational workshops, I believe, some dinner seminars, I believe the main topic they were doing was Social Security because that's super easy to fill for the lowest dollar amount. And once they got the registrant, though, that was it. That was all they did. They didn't do email follow up. They didn't have anyone call them. Um, all that stuff are the things that we do. Like I decided that as a marketing company, we need to take that on if we're going to actually help the advisor, because most advisors, even though you tell them to do it, they won't do it. And then after the summer goes on, if let's say not a lot of people show up, they're going to say, "Oh, your system doesn't work." And then we'll be like, "Well, how's that possible? How did we have, let's say, 40 registrants and only 5 people show up?" And if you made all the calls, they should have shown up. "Oh no, I made all the calls. I sent out emails. I sent out text messages. They didn't show up." Okay, I know that they didn't do it. Okay, because I've done this long enough. So we had to take that on. We do all the calls, we do all the emails, we do all the text message reminders, and we have a pretty good show rate. And I would say, again, the better topic is the taxes and retirement. The downfall is the taxes and retirement brings in a little bit less compared to Social Security or compared to a dinner seminar. However, the quality, meaning how much assets they have, is second to none right now. I mean, it's I know you see the quality or the amount of assets, and the reason I bring that up is because you only need to have one closed deal to make it worth it. That's it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is the great thing about this. And I mean, to be honest, working with Vince with an advisor is if I was a marketer and I was just focused on saying, "Hey, I got 50 people to your room, the rest is on you," I would tell you to run Social Security or Medicare ads and run a Medicare or Social Security class. It obviously outperforms on pure attendance, on pure butts and seats. If that's all I cared about for you and it was like bragging, I got you all filled your room with 60 people, that's what's going to do it. Same thing with offering food. Like if I only cared about the front end side and not you actually closing business, that's what I would recommend. With this side of things, we're shooting for pure quality over quantity. The whole system's designed for that. Just knowing how Vince likes to run his business, again, how he likes to get to 10. And so the whole thing's designed for pure quality, where instead of you having, 10, $100,000 clients, maybe you have, 500,000, or whatever that math is. But that's the philosophy of it. And they're coming on it.
I ran the average the other day. It's just under $800,000 the average size of each client that we bring on, and I think before it was probably like 300 or 400, and that was mostly when I was doing dinner seminars. So yeah, the quality has jumped drastically. The attention to detail I can make for each person has jumped up dramatically because I don't have to do like a ton of meetings to get a bunch of business. Yeah. I'm doing actually more business with less meetings.
Yep. Yeah,
I think the idea behind that is like work hard, work smarter, not harder, right? Um, if you asked most of the people in my office, they would probably say I don't do a lot. But that goes back to more of this, by the way, more of this who, not how, not so much being lazy. That just means I've hired certain people to do certain spots that I spend 80. The idea is you get rid of 80% of what you do and you spend 20% on what you're really good at, right? And so the other stuff you hire out is the idea. So seminars, webinars. Let's just kind of run through some numbers quick before we end this one. Because I know you just ran seminars and we're doing them in December. So obviously the cost per registration goes up a little bit, but one thing there, a lot of advisors stopped doing seminars over the summer, which we found out the cost per registrant over the summer drops dramatically. Yeah. So keep that in mind. So you guys want to go take your time off during the summer, keep doing it. It helps me out.
Yeah,
um, so
it's
what's
crazy.
the cost per registrant for an education workshop versus a dinner workshop?
For a dinner workshop, it's anywhere between 25 to $30 currently, which is
Okay.
really good. It's not bad at all. Again, that's going to be a quality play. People are That's great numbers, because now I'm going to tell you the workshop number is closer to 75 in December. When I shoot for and peak season for seminars, educational classes, it's going to be right around 45 to $50. In December, it goes about 75, $80 is roughly where it's at, depending on location and weather and all that other added stuff. That's the rough numbers. And so you can expect anywhere between 25 to 30 people to register, and you're getting about a 50% show rate for classes. And for dinners, it's right around 75, 80. Marketing numbers, that
For
sounds great,
December.
right? Yeah, for December.
For what was it like? Kind of September, October ish.
You have about you had closer to like a 65, 75% show rate for classes, which is really good.
Yeah, but what
Um,
about the cost per registrant?
it's right around $45 to $50.
Okay, so
Yeah.
right now, holiday season, obviously not the prime time to do the marketing, but again, I'd say most advisors we work with probably have paused on that.
Yeah.
As far as the seminars, in-person seminars, webinars, it's actually still a good time to do it because they can actually just do it on their own time. So
Yeah.
a little bit different. That just keeps running. We don't have to worry about it. As you said, you had 80 registrants without even doing any advertising on it other than through email.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just with certain locations. I mean, some are still pulling really well. Like I have, a couple guys that are a little bit more southern where it's still a little bit warmer out and people want to get out, that are closer to 45, 50%. Really, it's going to be logistics on where you're at. I don't, and where you're at, sometimes I can get below zero during this time. So they maybe want to stay home during this time. But like, we have a couple people in Texas that are like 40, 45 consistently through the months, regardless of when they're running. And it just performs well. And it's all based off of that. So I don't recommend stopping them in December. I mean, obviously, maybe the last 2 weeks of December is probably not the best time, just because you look at appointments and you're maybe pushing a little further out, right,
Yeah.
to those. But even then, webinars, I'd say consistently run. Seminars, you can taper them off near the end of December. Plus,
Yeah, we're not doing any end of December.
yeah,
We'll do, I think we have one next week.
yep. You have one next week, and then you have one like a week after New Year's.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when you kick back up.
Yeah, we are doing about 4 of those a month. And then the webinars we constantly do. So one thing on that with the seminars, though, if you're going to do seminars, you got to do the right locations. We had this one advisor that did like a gun club, and it worked once, and then you kept trying to go back to it, and I'm like, dude, stop going to the gun club. It's not like go to a library, college, university. It's like, oh, well, a lot of these colleges, libraries, well, they don't want to take me, or they won't let me come. Like, come on, you're not putting that much effort to it. Same thing. There's a advisor in New Jersey, and I found this out later because he kind of complained. He's like, yeah, I'm doing it at the VFW. I'm like, the VFW? He's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, well, what's going on? What was happening? He was piggybacking. He was doing like a Social Security workshop that he sent a mailer out. And then he was having us advertise a tax and retirement workshop at the same location. I'm like, what are you doing? This is not even the same workshop. And it's at the VFW. Like, no one wants to go to the VFW. Like, so all these people, people with no money that want to learn about Social Security, they'll go to the VFW for sure. I mean, they go to the bingo hall almost every week.
Nothing wrong with the bingo hauler, right?
No, I'm just it just isn't the right location. People aren't going to the VFW necessarily to learn. They go to the library, they go to a college, they go to the university. Then people are like, what about community center? No, don't do a community center. I mean, there are some you can do that might work. And then the best one of all is when people are like, Well, I got this great conference room in my office. How about I do it there? No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Or hotel conference
Oh
center.
yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
Anyway, can you get me wound up here? Why shoot ourselves in the foot just because it's convenient for you? Like, just because it's convenient for you doesn't make it convenient for other people, and it doesn't make it a good spot for people who want to go. Okay, so um, the webinars we run 4 times a month. Sorry, 4 times a week.
Yep. Yep.
11:30 and
6:30.
6:30,
Yep. On Tuesdays and Thursdays.
and that's about it. So if you guys are trying to figure out what you want to do for next year, here's what I suggest you do. I suggest that you go to mastermindadvisor.com and you can schedule some time with us. If you want to meet with Josh, you can maybe meet with me. My calendar allows. You could meet with Shannon or Brian, and we'll go over your marketing schedule and try to figure out, what would make sense for you. If not a big deal, but want to throw that out there and see if that might make sense for you as far as helping you with your scheduling on your seminars or webinars. If not, hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you can do us a favor, make sure you check us out on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe there as we update our videos there. And also, I believe on our podcast is on Apple. Is it on Apple? iTunes?
iTunes, Spotify.
iTunes?
Yep.
Yeah. Make sure you there's like a link to follow or something like that. Make sure you do that, and you'll get updates when we do new ones. I know we haven't done this in a little bit. We just got really busy, with some new partnerships and that kind of thing. So, Josh, as always, it's a pleasure,
Yeah, feels good
and
to be
look
back.
forward to seeing you in the next one.
As always.
See ya.